Hey everybody, it's your old friend Rob. It is evening time, almost ready to call it a day. It's Sunday, it's a day of rest. Normally we try to, rest on Sunday, but we're getting up against a couple deadlines, so I had to do a little bit of work. So I compromised and at least did a job I love, which is mowing. Mowing's the best job because you get to see this beautiful place, but also you just have a chance to think. And I was thinking a little bit about some great conversations I've had lately. We've been really fortunate to have a couple of folks that have been really good with business talk to us recently and give us some good advice. And I had some thoughts, and I thought, I'm just going to pass them on. I always enjoy doing that. I remember growing up, we'd go over to my grandpa's house. We grew up in a place called Cairnport in Saskatchewan, and my grandpa was the president of a school. And I remember one time they were talking about boards, and somebody at the table was saying that they'd never get invited to a board because they didn't have enough money, because they're not rich enough. And kind of the jaded way of looking at that was, boards only want rich people on them because they can give a lot of money to the organization. And I'll never forget my grandpa saying, he said, it's partly true what you're saying, that boards want rich people on their boards, but it's not maybe for the reasons you think. They said sometimes, when you're running a big organization, you'll come into a big expense, like you'll need to replace a roof, or you'll have to do some kind of major thing. And if people that haven't run a big business see a big number, like we got to spend $500,000 or we got to spend 100,000, and it's kind of scary because they're not used to dealing with those numbers, and so it can freak them out. Whereas the guys that do business are kind of like, yeah, we just got to do that. It's the cost of doing business. And I started thinking about that in myself, and I kind of put a word to it. I don't know if you Google it, maybe it would come up. Probably someone else has used something like this, but I was thinking about calling it a poor man syndrome. And I think it affects me. I think I'm susceptible to it. All of us grow up differently, right? And I think some of us that didn't grow up with a lot of money, our way of success has been a little different than others. We've got to be careful. We gotta save. We gotta work hard. And I think through my life, that's been the formula for success. Be careful with your money. Work hard. Don't waste things. Conserve. Be efficient. And that's good to a point, but at a certain point, it becomes unhelpful. I was driving the mower today, and I noticed I was having some problems. And so I found this piece on the bottom. How do you like that? That's a piece that goes around the front of the mower by the blades to keep the blades safe. It's like an extra thing. Yeah, we've hit a few stumps this summer. And I know one of my friends this summer who's a good business guy. He was saying, he's like, Rob, you got to get a better mower. He's like, this is ridiculous. You could save a day, one day a week or one day every 2 weeks by having a mower that's adequate. But like I walked, when I bought it, I walked into the, the Home Depot, Leroy Merlin, the Home Depot, and I didn't get the cheapest one, but I got one that, we could afford, and it was small. And I realized it was small for this huge property. It takes forever to mow. But I'm kind of looking at it through kind of a poor man's mentality. Like, I've never had a huge salary. Like, I was thinking about this. I'm a teacher right now, and before that I was a pastor, so none of those are big paying jobs. I was trying to do the math, and I probably should do it more carefully, but I think almost my whole life I've been maybe between $4 an hour and maybe 25, maybe a little bit more right now. I gotta do the math. But so kind of when I walk into a situation, I'm thinking, well, my time's worth about 25 bucks an hour. So I look at a big problem, like this moment. I'm thinking, well, I can just put a few more hours into it. And I had some friends the last couple of days that have sort of challenged me on that, and they said, you got to think bigger. You got to think more about efficiency, and you've got to get like the proper tools, and you got to do things like that. And I don't know, that was a helpful thing to think about. And I don't know if where you're at, if you've ever thought about that, but the way we grow up and the beliefs that we make sometimes can impact our decisions. The big one is the big one that psychologists sometimes talk about, or in my world, I work with youth ministry and work with young people. And sometimes you see somebody that's dating somebody that's no good at all, and you're like, why are they dating this lousy person? And it's because they have this belief about themselves that this is what they deserve, and this is what people get, and so we go through life with these kind of assumptions, and it's important to try to keep your eyes open and to see through the blinders. So that's what I'm thinking about today. And there's different applications of it. Like, for example, another one is we got into this whole thing because we wanted to make education available that was a lot cheaper than what's often available in America. And so maybe a student would be paying $20,000 in tuition and room and board per semester, if you can imagine that, in America. And we thought, well, if we can do it for 5, then we save them 15, and we're truly helping them not only have a great experience, but also not go hugely in debt. And so I thought, this is great. You know, I was thinking the kids that are in financial need will be all over this. And then we did our first couple of years, and I was surprised that the first people to jump on the program were actually people that could cut a $5,000 check. Like, they're not super worried about money. And so I was like, what? Why is that? I was trying to figure it out. And I think it kind of goes back to that kind of poor man syndrome that I sometimes suffer from. Kind of like the belief that since this is who I am, I don't deserve good things, or I can't do the fun things like this. And so you see an idea like studying abroad in Europe, and you're thinking, well, I can't do that. Or even worse, you know, maybe since the money is harder to come by, it's hard for them to, we don't have scholarships or grants or anything because we just try to keep things cheap and we don't have a big system behind us. But that means you have to come up with the money up front, and sometimes folks that are in need, they can't do that. And so they'll look at their semester and they'll say, well, you know, if I go to this big private school, it's $20,000 a semester, but most of it's loans and grants and stuff like that. And so really I only have to pay $800 for the semester. I can do that. But if I go with you guys, I got to pay $4,000 or $5,000. And I'm kind of like, yeah, but you also took on $16,000 of debt, which will take you 3 years to pay off. And I'm kind of like, man, you got to see the big picture. So I guess I'm sitting here as I'm mowing, and as I'm looking at my undersized mower, and I'm reminding myself not to default too quickly to being cheap. You know, like, again, it's good to be smart with money. It's good to be careful and not blow your money. But there are times when you just got to open the checkbook and say, we're going to need this. You know, we're going to need to get a gas-powered weed whip instead of an electric one. Electric is just not going to do it here. And so anyways, I don't know what the application is for you. Hope you're having a good day, but think through those assumptions that you've grown up with, and be strategic. All right, back to my mowing. Hope your day's going well.